Alright. So, we're sitting here playing, and the inspiration just hit me because I was scrolling through the map thinking to myself, we've kind of seen everything there is to see up here on the first layer of what is essentially Act 1. Now from here, the only thing we have left is the Goblin Camp, and then once we've done that, we do the fiesta, we do the party at the camp, and then we can go down into the Underdark. I think we could do the Spider as well. We have not done the Spider Queen yet, so we can go back, do the Spider Queen, kick her into the Abyss, follow her into the Abyss, then we can start our Underworld adventures. Um, but if you sit back here and think about this and look at the way the map is laid out, this is what I'm thinking about this morning, because I just recorded an episode talking about how the average length of an adventure module is 12 levels, and I've seen some people making some ridiculous comments about how only having 12 levels in the game isn't enough. Like, the game's going to fail. It needs to have 20 levels. It shouldn't only have 10. It should have 20. There's no way they're going to be able to fill up 80 hours of time with meaningful content over 12 levels. It needs to be 20. And I feel like a lot of people have lost their touch with what Dungeons and Dragons is. So I was recording an episode about, and it's already programmed in. It'll be coming out, I think, in the next day or two, talking about if you go look at the adventure modules that Dungeons and Dragons produces, they are all level 1 to 12 adventures. There's a couple that go to 15 and only one that goes to 20. All of the adventures, like 95% of the adventure modules that Wizards of the Coast produces for Dungeons and Dragons, are levels 1 to 11 or levels 1 to 12. That's just the facts. And to the people who, I would urge folks to go check out that video for that side of the conversation. But this side of the conversation, what really inspired this was looking at the map here and rambling here to the stream. Pablo just said fireside chat. Yes. Each one of these waypoints represents a several-hour adventure. At least one stream, if not 2 streams. We've got the tea house with the swamps and the hag. We have the roadside cliffs, the chapel, and the ruins under the chapel. Then we have Sylvanus' Grove, which has a whole bunch of stuff tied to it. There's a ton of quests where you'll go back and turn things in and get more quests, and dealing with Kaga and the Tieflings and all these other things. So the Druid Grove and Sylvanus' Grove, huge thing. The Blighted Village, which can be done, I don't know, 20 different ways, and then from there finding the well shaft that leads down into the spider cave, which in turn leads down to the frickin' Underdark. Like, you could just keep going down. It's amazing. Featherfall, by the way, is your friend. Make sure you have Featherfall. And then coming up in here, we just finished the Risen Road area, which has the Paladins and Karlach's character. And there's also, which we already did in a previous stream, there was the Hyenas and the Joaquin's Rest area. Then there's the in the Zentarum, all those encounters. Then there's the stuff over by the Githyanki Patrol. Then there's the Goblin Camp itself and taking out each one of those boss fights, because there's 3 bosses in the Goblin Camps. And then going down into the Spider Caves, there's the Spider Queen, and then from the Spider Queen, you're going into the Underdark, and then you've got the Minotaur fight, and you've got the Spectator fight, and you've got the Mushrooms, and you've got the Dwergar, and you've got the Drow, and you've got True Solnir, and you've got the... Dude, that's just... all of that is arguably anywhere from 30 to 40 hours of content. Just to do all the things that I just mentioned. Arguably 30 hours to do all of that. 30 to 40, right? And that's just a portion of Act 1. They're adding more content. Like 30% more is what they've said is coming down the pipeline for the launch. The fact that you can put 30 to 40 hours into something that only represents a fraction of the game and only go to level 5, and level 4 to 5 is a struggle. Like, that takes multiple streams to go from level 4 to level 5. Arguably 6 hours, maybe some more, maybe some less, depending on how streamlined. I take a lot of time in chat like we're doing right now, and I don't necessarily just, ramp through the combat. But I just think that some people might need to slow down a bit and think about how big the game is, because there is so much to do. It's not about how many levels you get. It's about how much adventure you can have. And within these levels are packed all these waypoints, all these nodes, and each one of these nodes contains around it several hours of adventures related to that area, specific to that area. So you can go off and do these side quests and have these side adventures and spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. Um, I think it's a pretty amazing thing. So filling up levels 1 to 12 with 80 hours of storyline content is pretty amazing. And then to be on that, giving completionists, if you want to go do all the nooks and crannies like what I'm doing right here, knowing that this is going to result in a 200-hour playthrough, please, my body is ready. Take me. I cannot wait. Anyway, that's the somewhat condensed rant version of one of the things that I just love about Baldur's Gate 3 so far is just how open and how massive everything is, and how even though it's only level 4 content, like the entirety of the Underdark, that being multiple sessions to go down in there for 10 hours or so and know that that's just level 4. And that gets you to level 5. And then knowing that level 5 to level 6 is going to take even longer than it took. So if it took me 4 sessions to do level 4 to 5, is it going to take me 6 sessions or 8 sessions to get from 5 to 6? And knowing that each one of my streams is 2 to 3 hours, there is so much content to be had. So much content to consume. It's mind-boggling to think about how many writers. What's up, everybody? Quick commercial break here to give it a shout out to our guild champions, who are the highest tier memberships here on YouTube. Ancient Entity, Assassin Gamer 94, Bubalonia Rising, Crazy's Relative, Mujin, and Remedy. Thanks so much for the highest tier membership. And thanks to all of the members who support the channel, because you keep me doing this full time. You too can become a supporter if you're new here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an update. Join as a member. There's 3 different tiers. We do lots of special stuff, private polls, private videos. You get a shout out if you're the highest tier membership, but you can also do one-off donations in the form of super chats on any live stream or premiere you see, and of course super thanks on any upload or YouTube short. Whatever you can contribute, it's great. Keeps me on the air full time, keeps the cats fed, keeps the homestead running. Anyway, back to the video, everybody. Voice actors, mocap performances, rewrites, reshoots, re-records. They have gone through in the iterative process of early access. I think that's the big difference between what they previously did and only needing 120 people, and now bumping that up and saying we're going to have 400 people working at 7 studios across the globe on this project. Like, that is a mind-bogglingly complex machine, and it has really. I was talking about this, I think, the other day in the Baldur's Gate 2 video. I would argue hundreds of combinations of things you can do in Baldur's Gate 3 that made that game so magical for its time. It really feels like Baldur's Gate 3 has done that. It really has tied in all that complexity and said, oh no, you don't have to do all this stuff, but if you want to, you can. And if you do, I've had multiple versions of the Druid Grove, Every time I play a different class, I get a different version of the Druid Grove. Yes, it's the core story. That's kind of the core story is still there, but I get very different outcomes. It's one of the first games, and I think Bubalonia was mentioning this morning. I think on my other video I put out, because I talked about, is Baldur's Gate too big? I've heard that comment from some people, it's just too big. Having the complexity and being able to know that your choice is going to affect the actual game, knowing that there are permutations for all these things you can do, that's a pretty amazing thing. So anyway, this map represents, already, I haven't even gone to the Underdark. I would say this map represents 20 hours of gameplay so far since we started the Rogue. I would have to go back and really check and also look at some of the offline stuff I've done, but I think we're around 20-ish hours. And we've still got the Goblin Camp to do, and we've got the entirety of the Underdark. We will be playing this Rogue all the way through up until launch. I don't know if we'll finish the Underdark before launch happens, but I will play this character all the way up until launch drops. So there's still so much more to see. It really is, in my mind, a pretty amazing thing that's been accomplished, knowing that there's this much to see. And then, oh, by the way, verticality because now I just go jump down a well shaft and I get to do another zone and then I can jump down there from the Underdark and there's that and then is there more beneath the Underdark? I don't know. I have no idea, but I'm willing to go forth and find out. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon.